writer's envy. I want a book. Not one to read, one that I wrote, like all the real poets. I want a page at the back, or maybe the whole slick cardstock back cover filled with a flattering photo of me, gazing into an ironic distance or peering pointedly at you, the camera, the photographer, the entire world of people who don't know what I know but should, and boy, will you be impressed when you find out. I've always thought that, but never quite knew how to say it, you'll say. And wow, that never occurred to me before. And women, young women, will hold the book in bookstores a little too long and look at that photo, narrowing one eye, until their boyfriends or husbands say in a voice a little too high, "What's that?" And they reply a little too quickly, "Nothing," and put the book back on the shelf, and then hurry to the counter to buy it, when the boyfriend goes to the men's room to look at himself in the mirror with quiet disappointment under a flickering neon bulb. He'll pat his hair, wash his hands, and that's all the time she needs. She's thinking of my photos stashed in her purse the rest of the afternoon, and then again at dinner when she imagines our conversation would be intimate and open into marvelous possibilities she'd never suspected, and would crackle with humor and subtly thrilling understatement. Well, the boyfriend brays on with some story she's heard dozens of times before, and she'll imagine that I've dedicated that book to her on a brilliant white page after 3 completely blank pages that indicate this is a really important publication, money is no object. And the dedication is in a little personal code only she and I would ever truly understand. And she imagines she's the photographer who took the picture of me in a leather chair looking knowingly into the camera, and that only she recognizes the disheveled bed out of focus in the background, the half-full, or is it half-empty, bottle of Calvados on the floor beside it. Until her husband breaks into the scene with, "Honey, honey, what was the name of that shop where they wouldn't even break a 50? And the dinner guests are all looking at her and as if she's been drooling or talking to herself in Yiddish, and she just doesn't care anymore. She really doesn't, but she doesn't say a thing, just smiles, a distant, satisfied smile. Anyway, it'd be a hell of a book. Change of pace. Let's dig up the small bones. Just the children's. Not all of them. Just 1 or 2 buckets. Enough to fill the top dresser drawer with knuckles and toes and those tiny hammer and stirrup bones from deep in their ears. Leave the femurs and the skulls and those hip bones like broken saddles for the squirrels and the raccoons to gnaw in winter. They need the calcium. Bring a few teeth, the baby teeth. One still in the jaw. But only bring the jaws if the teeth and jawbone together are smaller than an egg. Otherwise, snap them off. We don't want this to be morbid. Make sure to get at least 1 of each small bone, but each from a different child. We can afford to be picky, and the overall effect is more impressive. Better make it 4 buckets. The dresser is big, an antique built by hand 100 years ago when women had lots of woolens and large families. No collarbones or scapula, but if there are any fingernails still there, bring a few. Lamplight filtering through them casts a comforting glow. Then, rake the dirt back over the trench and remember the Scout motto, leave it as if no one was here. This is a poem from Mexico. Well, I wrote it in Mexico where I go a lot. And they have, I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's like Spain and Italy and France. They have markets, open-air markets where you go. You remember Cesar Romero? Yeah?
The Joker?
No. Yeah, he was. I'm talking about the real Cesar. The hearty viola voice from deep in a manly chest, shirt open to mid-breast, to reveal curls in contrast to the mane of hair swept back from his forehead, the gleaming black mustache. Most often he wore a sword at his side, a rapier or a cutlass, and always a confident smile. He cut his way through squads of Mexican soldiers, gangs of goons from the Spanish Inquisition, thugs sent by an evil cardinal resembling Basil Rathbone, who invariably bellowed, "Seize him!" And they never could. For some reason, he never got the girl. Linda Darnell or Jean Peters, always falling for Tyrone Power, the little twerp. As Cesar rode or strode or sailed into a sunset, and we all knew fortune and more adventure. Hombre, what a guy. The score lushed, the credits scrolled, and I knew that someday I'd grow facial hair and muscles, never get beat up again, never be afraid of girls, sail off with Jean Peters, Rusty Russell left behind forever, and Cesar grinning and waving on the pier. Well, in the market yesterday, I was buying vegetables for a soup, and I need a little rosemary for flavor. I pointed to an open box of it, and the little vegetable lady, who always gives me an extra orange or manzana because she likes me, said, "Sí, Romero." Romero? I plunged back 50 years to a dark movie theater and snapped back as fast, stunned. Cesar Rosemary? That just ain't right. The vegetable lady smiled, gave me a handful, and shook her head at payment. I walked away to ranchero theme music, small, thin, let's face it, balding, rusty in Mexico, with the gift, the handful of Romero. How are we doing for time?
Okay.
Well, I'll do the thing that poets are never supposed to do, and we always do it. It's a poem about poetry called How a Poem Works. Like a drunk on a subway, a poem should not beg for sympathy from strangers. Like a pile of kindling, it should wait. The women outside the prison fence, listening for the names of their sons, don't appear anxious, don't appear to even breathe. The man with the list has a wooden leg he has clumsily tried to conceal. A poem should reveal about as much as this. Like an orphan in a graveyard, a poem should not giggle or wear bright clothing. It should not swear. The widow cursing a priest at the funeral holds your interest despite your self-respect. 2 blocks away, a blind boy on the back of a motorcycle is screaming into the wind. It could be fear or unbearable joy. And we'll wrap up with this short thing. Thank you for flying. There will be 10 more minutes until the end of this world. Please check the area around you so you don't forget anything important. On behalf of the frog, the twilight, the rain, and the entire crew, I'd like to thank you for joining us and noticing. That's really all there was to it. Wasn't it wonderful?